driving a 2022 Hyundai Santa Fe plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. Coming up, we're going to explain why a plug-in hybrid like the Santa Fe might be the smartest way for our family to go green. But first, information explosion! The Hyundai Santa Fe is a two-row mid-size SUV. Let us begin with interior.
This looks pretty high-end. Like, there's the look of a knurled knob, although when you touch it, I'm pretty sure that's plastic.
Very, very sure it's plastic, yes.
And there's kind of a faux carbon fiber thing happening.
Carbon fiber.
Like, if you don't look too closely at it, it feels pretty high-end.
There are places that seem soft and pleasing. There's the stitching over here. I think it's definitely punching above its weight in terms of style and quality for the price. Also, I'll note that we're driving the limited trim, which is one of the kind of mid to higher trims, but this is not the fanciest of Santa Fe's. There's one called the calligraphy trim, which is very fancy. One thing I really like, though, is the usability of the interior, all the small storage. Very deep center console storage. There's all these little handy little spots that you can just kind of stow your gear. The second row is, I think, plenty accommodating for somebody my size. The seats slide and recline, and I had no problem fitting back there.
When you sit in the middle row, it's not particularly roomy width-wise, but your feet can ride fairly flat. There isn't that hump that's so prevalent in many vehicles.
My baby's not a fan of the hump. That's one confused iguana's worth of commentary. Moving further back, cargo space is excellent, 36.4 cubic feet, which is not the largest in category, but it is big.
I like the underfloor storage. Sometimes they're fairly shallow, but there's two separate bins.
I think it's cool too because in the plug-in hybrid that we're driving, there's a really convenient spot there to put the charger. So
awesome.
Yeah, you know exactly where it is. And then on the higher trims, it has the little electronic release, so you can flip the seats down just by pushing a button. Hey kiddo, did you have any issues getting inside the Hyundai Santa Fe? No problems?
No.
How about getting her car seat installed?
The latch points, I had a tiny bit of trouble accessing them. I think with continued use, it would be a fairly speedy install.
Moving on to safety, this is 5-star rated across the board with the exception of rollover, which is 4-star, but that's just because it sits up a little bit higher. And then there's a really extensive active safety suite, things like lane keeping assist, automatic emergency braking with pedestrian and bicyclist detection, blind spot warning. And then there's another thing called junction assist. If you are at an intersection and you're about to turn left and there's oncoming traffic, the Hyundai Santa Fe can detect that and apply the brakes to keep you from pulling in front of that traffic. All of those features come standard. What do we think? Is the Hyundai Santa Fe family friendly?
Family friendly.
Yeah, family friendly. What's up, kiddo?
Made up a joke. Why did the cow jump on the flamingo? Because it wanted to poop, but it didn't see. Really funny. She said it, but when I thought about it, then it sounded really funny.
Yeah, that's the kind of joke that's a real thinker. Rear window test. All the way down. Armrest test. Driving in my comfortable cruising 8 and 4 position, I can rest both of my elbows on the armrest. I think this could be a little softer, especially on the outside too. I'm gonna go 60% inboard, 60% outboard. Hey, have you subscribed to our channel? If you haven't, please do. At 100,000 subs, we're gonna review a windowless white van. It sure is. Style! Pardon the brief interruption, but let me thank the sponsor for today's video, Flying Eyes Sunglasses. We wear them in the helicopter, and the reason is because they are not like normal glasses. They have very special features. These super thin temples are nearly indestructible. They fit under a headset, and the construction is incredibly lightweight.
I wear the ophthalmic line of glasses, which have these removable magnetic tinted lenses. And the reason why I like them is, as you said, they are very lightweight. I forget I'm wearing them sometimes, which definitely didn't happen with my older frames.
Yeah, Evie's got a prescription in there, and it's customized to her bad eyesight.
Whether you have bad eyesight or you're a bad
Hi! We can all enjoy flying eyes in our own way. If you're ready to invest in aviation-grade eyewear, click the link in the description below. You can save 10% off using the promo code Micah. Flying eyes. The things that look like headlights are not the headlights. The really thin things, those are just fashionable LEDs, and then the things that look like fog lights are the actual headlights. I think there's some interesting design happening here. Do you have thoughts?
I was impressed with how bulbous the grille was. There's some real dimensionality to it. It almost looks like a little shark, but like sort of cute still, so maybe like a baby shark. Sorry.
And now that'll be stuck in your head. But I've got a solution.
What is
1877 cars for kids.
No!
You're welcome. I think overall the style of the Hyundai Santa Fe is handsome, but not outrageous. They could have been more outrageous. I think they've kind of walked that line, and certainly it's a more emotive design than many other mid-size two-row SUVs. Do you guys like the look of the Hyundai Santa Fe? If you do, if you don't, tell us in the comment section. Onward to In Motion. We always talk about the anchor point. What did you drive right before the vehicle you're testing? My anchor point was the Audi SQ7 that we drove recently with the 500 horsepower V8 and the grip for days. So I got out of that and into this, and this felt comparatively soft. But among real vehicles, I think this is a very well-rounded kind of SUV. I do have to dredge up a complaint that I used to have of previous Hyundais, which is that, when you drive around, the steering doesn't feel particularly communicative. It's got a little bit of a kind of a rubbery quality as you add steering input. But again, steering feel is the kind of thing that nobody cares about, so I'm not even sure why I'm talking about it. What I will do is floor it. Whee! So you get some of that immediate electric torque, and then the engine comes alive. One thing that's different about the hybrid Santa Fe versus the standard Santa Fe's is that this is a 6-speed automatic transmission instead of an 8-speed automatic transmission, which means you have fewer ratios, which means that the engine might not always be in its perfect happy revs for whatever it is you're asking of it. But I think the reason they chose to do that is because the electric motor helps fill in some of those gaps between ratios. It's got that prompt electric torque, so the gasoline engine doesn't have to work quite as hard to give you the acceleration you need. I will lodge one complaint though. The brake pedal has some of that artificial electrified vehicle feel. It's kind of spongy, and as an aficionado of high quality brake feel, I'm embarrassed that that's the thing I like.
And as an aficionado of sponges, I agree.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Well, that's as good a cue as any. Let's get Sweetie in the driver's seat. Evie's at the wheel. Let's get the visibility question out of the way to begin with. Can you see?
I think there might be a little bit high of a belt line.
A stylishly high belt line.
True. There's a pretty thick B pillar, but I don't feel like it's interfering unnecessarily, and I've got a decent view out that window. This window is the rare one I can actually see past the B pillar based on my positioning.
How do you feel driving the Hyundai Santa Fe?
I like driving this because I love that off-the-line torque. I don't need my top speed to be fast. I want to get up to 30 miles per hour quickly and stay there.
Yes, you want to go slow, quickly.
Yes.
How do you feel about the steering?
I feel like it responds when I turn it, which there's a little bit of wiggle room.
One thing that you might be experiencing is it's a 13.7 to 1 steering ratio, which is quick, certainly among this category. Yeah, you're getting that immediate response. You don't have to move your hands a ton to get the directional changes that you need. Overall, you're feeling pretty good driving this thing?
Yes, I like driving this thing.
Sweetie likes it. I'm getting back in the driver's seat. Overall, I think this is a fine driving SUV. It's just kind of a balanced driving experience. Let me very quickly thank the folks who support us over on Patreon. Hey patrons, you get early access to our videos, and we chat with you over there, and we love it. So thank you for your kind support. Onward to Emotion Factor.
I think there is an emotion factor here. It's handsomely styled. It's environmentally responsible, so there's a nice feeling of smugness that comes from that.
I'm feeling it.
And then it's also, for me, fun to drive.
Among the competitive set, the Hyundai Santa Fe is like the cheapest one you can buy.
Even better.
Yeah, the base price and the equipment you get is really quite generous. I think there is an emotion factor here. If you're feeling emotionally drawn to the Hyundai Santa Fe, hybrid or otherwise, and you'd like to find some real listing links in your area, click the Kelley Blue Book listing link in the description below. Remarks! At the beginning of the video, I teased that we were going to talk about why a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle like this Hyundai Santa Fe PHEV is perhaps the smartest way for us to drive green. Okay, it is complicated. The plug-in hybrid, the way it works is that you have a larger battery than you would in a normal hybrid vehicle. And because it has a larger battery, you can drive it around for, in this case, 30 miles under pure electric power alone. So that's not a ton of range if you're comparing it to modern fully electric vehicles, but what's cool about a plug-in hybrid is that you can exploit all of the available electric potential of that battery in a way that you can't in a vehicle that lacks a gasoline engine.
So if I charge this overnight, that would probably be enough for my daily commute.
Absolutely. You are exactly who this is made for. And what's cool is that because it's a fairly small battery, I just plugged this into a normal 120 volt outlet and it charged up overnight, no problem. So you don't even need a special charger to use this vehicle daily for your commutes. Now we get into the complicated stuff. From an environmental perspective, I've read several reports that talk about how, plug-in hybrid electric vehicles are actually worse than normal gasoline vehicles, and certainly much worse than electric vehicles. The idea being that people don't plug them in, and then you're just hauling around extra weight from a battery that you're not exploiting. My response to that is, plug it in. Plug in the hybrid. So if you don't have a way to plug in your vehicle at night, then a plug-in hybrid doesn't make sense. If you do, and you do plug it in, it could make a lot of sense.
Or if you're able to plug it in at work, often offices have that option.
Absolutely, yeah.
But with the reassurance of having the backup.
Yeah, the fact that no matter what happens, the gasoline engine is there to provide extra range. So you could also make the argument that rather than having an electric car and then a backup gasoline vehicle to drive longer distances, you could have a single vehicle that you can do almost everything with. Oh, but you know what the problem here? There's a lot of nuance in all this, and people don't like nuance these days.
Oh,
so
no.
Yeah, okay. It's a good thing, or it's a bad thing. You'll tell us. Moving to simpler conversations, infotainment. An 8-inch screen comes standard, and it includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, plus 4 USB ports, 2 in the front, 2 in the rear. However, we are driving a fancier version that has this 10.25-inch screen. For some reason, when you move to the larger screens in Hyundais, you have to have wired Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto, and I'm still not 100% sure why that is.
The icons are small, and they're all the same color. So I had a little bit of difficulty determining what I was pressing unless I was staring directly at it. What's helpful though is that there's this row of shortcuts to anything you use most often, like your navigation, your radio.
The one we're driving has a 360-degree camera system with a ton of angles. Oh, also, so many clever little details that have been brought into the Santa Fe that you find in other Hyundai vehicles. Things like passenger talk, where it'll amplify the driver's voice to the passengers in the back. Hey, little sweetie. Continue eating Cheerios and having a good drive.
Hi.
Mission accomplished. There is a rear passenger alert system. The standard version uses door logic to figure out if you have probably left something or someone back there. But on higher trims, it's an ultrasonic sensor that can detect movement and even alert you on your phone if you have left somebody back there. And that's the kind of thing like, how could you ever forget your child? Have a child, be fatigued, and then you will understand how it's possible to potentially forget a child.
We've not forgotten our child, but we can see how it happens.
Yeah, we've been tired enough to be empathetic.
Yes.
What does empathetic?
That means to think about other people's feelings. I'm also a big fan of the Smart's rear liftgate feature, where if you have the key in your pocket and you stand back there for 3 seconds, it'll automatically open up. Oh, and then a fun one for dazzling your 6-year-old daughter is the Smart Park feature, where you can pull the vehicle into very tight spots and out of tight spots using the fob. We're driving the plug-in hybrid version, but there's also a less expensive 2.5 liter, just straight up gasoline engine version of the Hyundai Santa Fe. Then on higher trims, you can get a turbocharged version of that 2.5 liter, and it comes with an 8-speed dual clutch automatic transmission instead of the standard automatic that comes in the base engine. And then there's a hybrid, not plug-in, but hybrid version of the Santa Fe that you can also choose. And then of course, the plug-in hybrid that we're driving. Interestingly, all-wheel drive comes standard on both the plug-in hybrid and the standard hybrid. If you want all-wheel drive on the gasoline engines, that will be $1,700. Sweetie?
Yes.
Can I make a trim recommendation?
No.
Oh, I knew it. I knew this day would come. Just so you know, my trim recommendation is basically which version of the vehicle gives you all of the essentials at the lowest possible price, because I am a cheap. My suggestion is to move up from the base SE trim to the SEL. Going to the SEL adds $1,750 versus the base SE trim, but it adds smart key access, heated front seats, power driver seat with power lumbar support, safe exit assist, which will keep you from accidentally opening a door into a car that's passing you, when you're parked, roof rails, wireless phone charging, Sirius XM satellite radio, and Blue Link, which is basically smartphone access via an app, so you can do things like adjust the climate control, or lock your vehicle or unlock your vehicle, or even like pull up a destination and then send it to your nav system. Also add that Hyundai has its 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, which is reassuring. Among the competitive set, you've got the Chevy Blazer, Ford Edge, Honda Passport. I might also throw in the Toyota Venza, which only comes as a hybrid, and then the Subaru Outback. We drove an Outback recently. If you're curious what our Outback experience is like, click up here. Among the competitive set though, as mentioned earlier, the Hyundai Santa Fe is a value, ton of equipment at a very reasonable price.
And stylish as compared to some of those.
It's got a lot going for it. It's a real Micah Muzio type.
Hey.
Did we miss any remarks? If we did, leave them in the comment section. Synopsis! In thinking about the essence of the Hyundai Santa Fe plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, sometimes there are super useful tools that people, they just use wrong. Then they're like, why isn't this working correctly? And then I was reminded, every time we have snow up here, people come up from the flatlands, and I always see people putting chains on the wrong tires. I saw a guy driving a rear drive Toyota Tacoma, chains on the front tires, and only on the front tires. To me, the Hyundai Santa Fe plug-in hybrid is the tire chains of two-row mid-size SUVs. It works well as long as you use it correctly.
Plug it in, guys.
Plug it in. If you have a better synopsis, please leave it in the comments section. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. At 100,000 subs, we're going to review a windowless white van. If you're curious what we're doing between YouTube videos, you can follow us over on Instagram. And hell, if you're crazy, you can follow me over on TikTok, because that's a thing I'm doing now. Family, I think we've done a pretty good job reviewing the Hyundai Santa Fe. May I have a 5 and a 5, and you can get your high five. Ah!